This is a 50-foot yacht certified to cross oceans, and one of them actually did it. The Selene Classic Explorer 49 carries Category A oceangoing certification, which is the highest rating any yacht can receive, meaning it handles unlimited offshore voyages in winds exceeding 47 knots and waves over 13 feet. What makes this boat interesting is the price point, because industry sources consistently report it costs 30 to 50% less than its most famous competitor. A documented transatlantic crossing proved its blue water credentials, and the whole thing came from a naval architect who found his design inspiration at the Parthenon in Athens. Let's find out what makes the Selene 49 tick and whether it deserves a place on your short list. Understanding this yacht starts with understanding the person who designed it. Howard Chen spent 12 years managing shipyards in Taiwan before striking out on his own, and his credentials include a degree in naval architecture from National Chung Kung University, plus a master's in architecture from Tung Hai University. A trip to Greece in 1996 changed everything when Chen visited the Parthenon and saw something in those ancient columns, that combination of beauty and structural integrity lasting thousands of years, which, according to company history, sparked the creation of the Selene brand. 2 years after that Athens visit, Chen founded Jet-Tern Marine in 1998. The name Selene carries its own story, coming from Chen's architecture professor Dr. Da Hong Wang, who designed a memorial in 1970 commemorating Apollo 11's moon landing. NASA named their program after Apollo, the sun god, and Wang named his memorial after Selene, the Greek goddess of the moon. Chen adopted that name for his yacht company as a tribute. Grace and strength became the company philosophy, and that philosophy has clearly resonated with buyers, given that over 400 yachts have shipped worldwide since 1999. Now for the specifics. Selene introduced the Classic Explorer 49 in 2013 as the next-generation evolution of their popular 47 model, positioning it as the flagship of smaller Selenes and the entry point to their Classic Explorer series for serious passage-making. Length overall runs 53 feet 11 inches, with a beam of 15 feet 8 inches, which is the width. Draft sits at 5 feet 11 inches, meaning how deep the hull extends below the waterline, and fully loaded displacement reaches 68,800 pounds, or just over 31 metric tons of boat. Standard power comes from a John Deere 6068 producing 230 horsepower, though many owners choose the Cummins QSL 9.0. at 330 horsepower instead. Cruising speed falls between 7.5 and 8.5 knots, with a top speed around 10 to 11 knots, and for anyone unfamiliar with nautical speeds, that means 8 knots equals roughly 9 miles per hour. Speed matters less here because these boats exist to go far rather than fast. 1,200 gallons of fuel capacity gives the 49 a range exceeding 3,000 nautical miles at 7 knots. That's enough to run from California to Hawaii, about 2,300 miles with fuel left over. Sleeping capacity handles 6 people, though Selene describes it as a yacht for 2 with space for 6, and the target buyer tends to be couples in their 50s and 60s looking for genuine long-range cruising capability. Several specific design features separate serious passage makers from coastal cruisers, and the Selene 49 checks every box. CE Category A certification comes first, which is the European Union's highest rating for recreational vessels, meaning unlimited offshore voyage capability. Category B covers offshore, Category C handles inshore. Category A means ocean-going. Hull construction comes next, featuring what Selene calls their deep hull design that provides 12 inches more engine room headroom than the previous 47 model. Solid fiberglass lamination runs below the waterline with no foam and no core materials, just solid hull for maximum impact resistance. An 18-inch hull extension at the stern called the cruiser. Stern adds lazarette storage and buoyancy, offsetting the weight of the flybridge above, and legendary sailor Ted Hood developed that concept. The Portuguese bridge provides another traditional feature, which is a raised bulwark forward of the pilot house offering deck-level protection that commercial working boats have used for generations. Protection for the propeller and rudder comes from a deep skeg, meaning underwater impacts hit the skeg first, rather than destroying your ability to steer or move. Technical numbers tell the rest of the story. Displacement to length ratio sits at 316, and the comfort ratio, what naval architects call the AB ratio, reaches 2.54. Without getting too technical, those numbers indicate a heavy, stable boat designed specifically for rough water. Numbers and certifications tell one story, while actually crossing an ocean tells another. A Selene 49 named Hakuna Matata became the first of its model to cross the Atlantic Ocean under her own power, and the owners documented everything, including fuel consumption of 3,848 liters, which works out to just over 1,000 gallons for the entire crossing. What the owner wrote about the experience carries weight because these aren't marketing claims. His words described how the crossing was made so easy by this truly trusty seagoing trawler with her 2.54 AB ratio, her cruising stern and deep cruising keel, and large airfoil rudder, making her stable and safe in all the various seaways encountered. Someone who actually crossed an ocean wrote that, and that matters. Anyone shopping this category has probably heard of Nordhavn, which functions as the 800-pound gorilla in the passage-maker world with aggressive marketing and a premium reputation. Here's where value enters the picture. A new Selene 49 runs approximately $970,000 to $981,000, with used examples from 2022 listing around $850,000. Older boats from 2007 to 2011 range between $500,000 and $700,000. Industry sources consistently report that 30 to 50% price difference compared to Nordhavn for similar ocean crossing capability. One European comparison described both brands as technically very similar, but noted the Selene seems more inclined towards luxury and comfort, while Nordhavn trawlers feel more brutal and leave a subtle impression of a commercial vessel. Selene's own vice president put it directly in 2019 when stating that Nordhavn is the other best brand. And when it comes to dedication and skill for quality, performance, safety, and beauty, both companies are unmatched. That kind of honesty about a competitor tells you something. Skipping the criticisms would do you a disservice, and early Selene production before 2008 had quality control issues worth knowing about. Problems never involved hull integrity or seaworthiness according to owner forums, and instead centered on consistency of build with electrical systems varying from boat to boat, plumbing showing similar inconsistencies, and some substandard metalwork. Fuel tank problems appeared on several early boats, with one owner calling them major messes. Here's what changed though. Owners consistently report that post-2008 builds show significant improvement, and one longtime observer explained that Chen and Jet-tern learned that while price matters to many buyers, it's often not the motivating factor in the large trawler market. Quality and build consistency improved over the intervening years, according to that same source. The takeaway is to get a thorough survey, especially on pre-2008 boats, and check tanks and electrical systems carefully. Resale values also run lower than Nordhavn's, partly because of early reputation issues and less aggressive marketing, but owners point out that maintenance history matters more than brand when buying used. All Selene yachts come from their main facility in Zhuhai, China, which is a 150,000 square foot waterfront shipyard near Macau and the largest single production shop in Asia building fiberglass yachts. What separates Selene from most builders is that everything stays in-house with no subcontracting to third-party facilities, and that allows extensive customization for each owner. Buyers specify interior woods, choosing between teak or cherry wood, select galley layouts, and pick from a long list of equipment options. That semi-custom approach rarely appears at this price point. A major expansion in 2025 added 38,000 square meters of new shipyard space with 40 berths. Hull number 48 sat in production as of late 2024, meaning approximately 48 Selene 49s have launched since 2013. Active production continues with 2026 builds available for order. Recent standard equipment updates include Victron lithium house batteries at 800 amp-hours, Furuno navigation packages, ABT track stabilizers, and hardtop flybridge designs. Back to the original question of whether this 50-foot yacht can really cross the Pacific. Category A, ocean certification, says yes. 3,000-mile-plus range says yes. A documented Atlantic crossing says yes. Solid fiberglass construction below the waterline, full skeg protection, and that proven 2.54 comfort ratio all point the same direction. The Selene Classic Explorer 49 carries the credentials to handle blue water. Other yachts can do it too, and some carry more famous names. But at 30 to 50% less than its primary competitor with proven ocean crossing capability and semi-custom construction, this boat deserves serious consideration from anyone planning extended offshore passages. Howard Chen set out to build yachts combining grace and strength. 25 years and over 400 boats later, the Selene 49 might represent his most accessible expression of that philosophy. Drop your questions in the comments because everyone gets read, and if this helped your research, consider subscribing since more yacht deep dives are coming. Fair winds.